Hello, my name is Peregrine. I'm currently unaware of what video to make. I'm not feeling the passion for Overwatch as much, so I've thrown out a Q&A just to see if anyone wants to ask any questions, and I got a lot of responses, so here's the answers. Caro Does History wants to know, would I rather fight 200 bloodthirsty 4-year-olds or one silverback gorilla? My answer to that is, it depends on the circumstances. If it's a bloodthirsty silverback, then I'm going to take my chances with the 4-year-olds because it's probably easier. If it's a chill silverback, and I can wait for it to go to sleep, maybe I can craft some kind of stabbing device or drop bricks on its head and then kill it. I don't know, but I think just presented that question alone, probably take on the 4-year-olds. It's probably easier to get them to start in fighting. Maya6366 wants to know what got you interested in studying philosophy. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you meant psychology because I don't study philosophy. Psychology has always been an interesting point for me because growing up I never really fit in. I mean, knowing what I know now, that I'm autistic and have other problems, it's very obvious why I didn't fit in, but at the time I just kind of assumed that I wasn't human, like I didn't feel human. I felt like I was an alien that was dropped in. So at some point when I was a kid, I became obsessed with trying to figure out how people work and what makes them tick, just to try and fit in and go unnoticed. However, I was unaware at the time that what I was doing was essentially looking at psychology. So I continued with my life, just going about trying to figure out something, what to do, like with my life. I knew that I wanted to have some kind of impact, that's all I knew. I wanted to leave the world a better place by the time I die. I wanted to be able to say, I was here and I had this impact. I thought about therapy for a while, but I ultimately was against it because I thought that my own mental illnesses meant I couldn't become a therapist. So I settled for trying to become a zookeeper, but by the time I got into college for animal work, I hated it. So eventually I realised that you don't have to be perfect to be a therapist, and now that's where I am. Although, just in case you were interested, on the philosophical side, I am a humanist. I don't believe in a higher power or anything that we do having any inherent meaning. The only meaning that we have is what we assign to it. Everything in the universe is random, nothing was put here on purpose, we are just an accident that occurred. But the good thing about everything being an accident is that we can put meaning on these things, and we can experience life however we want. Humanism allows us a level of freedom and free thinking that other mindsets do not allow. In essence, I follow no rules and no laws unless I personally agree with them on a philosophical level. I live by my own code, which means all of my choices, both the good and the bad, are my choices and my choices alone, which gives me full credit for my wins, however, full responsibility for my losses. I fear no supernatural entities like ghosts or gods, which allows me the space to think purely, realistically, scientifically, and to pursue happiness and a greater world for all humans to share without having any kind of moral quandaries about, oh, this person's a different religion and this person's a different colour. That doesn't, I don't care to me. I'm a humanist, I don't care. Although it is sad that, realistically speaking, there probably isn't an afterlife, that is what makes the present as special as it is, and we should not be using this very brief time in the present to try and suppress others, rather to uplift humanity as a whole. Jacob Ellis wants to know, are you actually a bird? Yes. Mortox asks, what are your hopes for this year with the new heroes, lore and content in general? And what features would you like added to Overwatch? In regards to hopes for new heroes, at the moment, all I'm looking for is basic to understand characters and kits that have both flaws in character and design. One major problem I find with video games in general is the concept of power creep and ability bloat. For example, Hazard. Hazard can do everything. He's a self-healing dive tank with a one-shot combo, a melee wall that does damage and knockback, a crowd-controlling ult with Rematra block that does damage without you doing anything. Compare this to Winston, who does very little damage, has a jump and a big bubble. Gameplay designs like Hazard are wildly unfriendly to beginners, and it is my personal belief that every character should have one major exploitable flaw to encourage flexibility in players and team play, while decreasing solo carry potential and the creation of stale metas. Lore-wise, I want to see characters be explored more thoroughly with negative traits. I want to see the good guys get put in their place. At the moment, the current new generation of Overwatch is full of quirky, unrealistically heroic characters like Brig, Tracer, Wu Yang, or characters whose negative traits and character arcs have already been finished, like Reinhardt or Genji. I want to see a good guy with genuine, actual negative traits, like anger issues, ego problems, or being just a general downer. When I say Juno doesn't have any flaws, people always like to talk about the comic where she's doing stupid things or hesitating. However, inexperience isn't really a character flaw, because it still paints her in a good light. Oh, she was trying her best. See, she's just a little failed. She's just a little girl failure. She's still trying. No, I want to see a genuinely ugly side of this character, so she seems like a real human being, like the villains of the story do. Where is my Overwatch Talon betrayal arc? When is Zarya going to be confirmed to be a Talon agent this entire time? When is someone going to die due to incompetence? When are these heroes actually going to be defeated and have to come back from nothing? Where's the challenge? Where's the fun? As for features, to be honest, I'm okay at the moment. I would like to see this whole wide queue shit removed from the game, because there's genuinely no difference between Gold 1 and Diamond 5, so I don't know why I have to go into a different queue system to play with my friends. And also, I would like to see a complete Mercy rework from the ground up to force Mercy One-Tricks to either derank or adapt into being more than just a floating pocket pussy for their Discord daddies. Daft P asks, why did you choose to represent yourself as a penguin? Now, you might be getting a little bit confused with my alt account, Penguin Productions, where I archive Gaming for Hope clips and upload shitposts. I'm going to be uploading more kind of long-form rant and gameplay there soon for Sleep Aid, as I've been told I have a good voice for that type of thing. So if you're interested in listening to my voice while you sleep, feel free to subscribe to Penguin Productions if you're interested in that. The link will be in the description. Caro Does History again asks, when will you be getting your character commissioned into a full furry avatar and make an In Defense of Mercy One-Tricks video with a PNG crossing its arms with an angry face in the thumbnail? I hate Mercy with a passion, so it'll be more likely to be attacking Mercy One-Tricks. However, I do already have a very similar video concept about my friend's game and an imaginary controversy. However, at the request of my friend, that video is privated. So just be aware that I know about that meme, I have that version of Peregrine somewhere, and I will probably be reusing that for a shitpost video in future.
There are also just some fun little Easter eggs. A less than savoury one is the character known as Mr. Blast. Mr. Blast, or to give him his full name, Mr. Cumjob Footblast, is a crudely made stick figure made by famous war criminal Mike Oxsmall. Mr. Blast is synonymous with anti-Semitism, pro-war and white supremacy, and became a figurehead of the online alt-right.
The astrobiologist Overwatch asks, what are your thoughts on free-to-play live service model, in Overwatch or just in general? Okay, this one's a tough one, because it's kind of, it outs me as a bit of a psycho, but to be honest, I can't think of a way in which I'm not justified by saying this. I love the free-to-play model of Overwatch, Pokemon Champions, and Fortnite. I wish it was used a lot more. Something about my autism has made me completely immune to wanting to buy skins in video games, or like the fear of missing out doesn't apply to me. So I get to put hundreds of hours into a game and get the whole experience completely for free, while some stupid cuck somewhere pays for me because apparently he has to buy this skin, despite the fact he doesn't. Some free-to-play models I do disagree with massively, because it's either blatantly pay to win, or like in gacha games where it is just outright legalized child gambling. But games like Overwatch have found a way to perfectly balance an ethical free-to-play model. Now, some people who are watching it just heard me say that I think this free-to-play model is ethical, because they like to hire psychologists to try and make people addicted to buying skins. However, if you are addicted to buying Overwatch skins, I'm just going to be flat out honest with you. You need to take responsibility for yourself and develop a little bit of willpower. I know that as a therapist I probably shouldn't be saying this, but there genuinely comes a time where you need to stop blaming other people for your own faults, and this in particular is the majority your fault. Yes, they do hire people to try and make you click on it, but no one's forcing you to click the buy button. These are pixels on a screen. Fear of missing out is not a fear of missing out of a gun looking different in a game. Fear of missing out is what you get when you're ill and miss out on a night out with the boys. Fear of missing out is what you get when you miss a concert, or something to steal yourself when asking someone out. What you're experiencing when a skin is in a shop isn't FOMO, it's having a lack of personal accountability, which explains the suspicious connection of why those who claim to be addicted to buying skins also happen to be the same people who have an insane victim complexes on twitter.com. Raw Kerbo wants to know, any other wacky things you've tried to taste or only gasoline? Great question. Odds are when I die it's most likely going to be me failing to resist the call of the void and trying something I shouldn't. When I was 15 I worked at an animal shelter and I think I definitely tried like a cat meat stick treat that was really salty and horrible, and I tried dog kibble as well, which just tasted like, I don't know, wood. Like, it wasn't nice. When I was a kid, like really young, I used to eat staples I found on the carpet in school. I don't know quite why I did. I was either bored or I might have heard that iron was good for the blood, so I just assumed it would be okay. Also, when I was a kid, like, sweets that had paper wrappers, like stuff like Starburst or Drumsticks, if I couldn't get the paper off, I would just eat it anyway. I just wouldn't see the reason to start getting my hands sticky, because I'd rather eat the paper than get sticky hands, because I'm a fucking autist. Ultimately, most of those things I've stopped doing. In fact, all of those things I've stopped doing. I'd probably still eat the paper, to be honest. It's really not that big of a deal. But, I still have some slightly odd eating habits to this day. Like, whenever I have an apple or a pear, I just eat the entire thing. I don't see why people can't eat the core. I've never understood that. I used to do it just to be normal, but recently I don't care. And like, when it comes to carrots as well, carrots or celery or cucumber, I just eat the whole thing. I don't know why people have to cut off the ends. I don't get it. Like, there's nothing harmful there. At least I don't think there is. I hope there isn't. Sergeant Invictus wants to know, who would be your pick for the biggest sleeper character in the Overwatch lore? Someone who hasn't actually been given much lore, either barely any or has yet to do anything of significance, but has the potential to do something really interesting. When it comes to sleeping giants, I think there's a lot of potential in Torbjorn as kind of an Oppenheimer figure. He's really slept on and he's currently stuck in Gothenburg. I'm really excited to see what's in store for Emre and Freya in particular, and if Doomfist really is dead, I would classify him as like the largest miss of all time and like the biggest sleeper pick of all time. Ultimately though, like off the top of my head, I'd say Maximilian has the highest potential for a sleeping giant. Max is an incredibly interesting character because he's less of a character and more... He's money incarnate, like if money was given sentience. I find that really interesting. He's one hell of a snake and he'll backstab anyone for the right cost. He's the only character I can see capable of playing all three sides of the big three at once. Plus, I'm very biased because early on in Peregrine Productions, I was writing a script and I had an amazing title and name, but I couldn't quite make it work. So I'm still gonna. I'm hoping I get more so I can use this. But I was gonna have like I was gonna have the title like be the Epstein of Overwatch, and then like the fucking thumbnail would be Maximilian, and then like a red arrow and a fucking circle around Epstein, just to say like he's the rich guy that does everything. But when I actually looked into Max, he's just essentially just a money launderer. It's not quite the same thing as Epstein, but it would have been good clickbait, but I just couldn't justify it. Cherry wants to know when does he get his dividends at Killy. Nico Nicer wants to know, do you like Lifeweaver as a character or his lore? I really do like Lifeweaver. He's similar to Sim, where he's okay with working for an evil fucking company out of the delusion that he would somehow find a way to make them do good. However, you know, he didn't, and he had to sneak away with BioLite technology. Rightfully so. I mean, if BioLite is what I think they're trying to do, it has the potential to end global hunger and reverse climate change, which puts him in a lot more danger than anyone else currently in Overwatch, as it wouldn't be like Talon or Ramatra going after him, it would be the banks, which is 1,000,000 times more dangerous than any private military company could possibly be. Lifeweaver is threatening to fuck with like the concept of money at the moment, and I love that for him. He was a delusional man complicit in gentrification and oppression and debatably some genocide, but his brain kicked in when the world needed him most, and honestly, I'm upset that Blizzard doesn't amplify this badass side of him. He has a voice line with Hazard where he talks about being a rebel on the run, which is good, but that needs to be amplified more. Underneath that very feminine appearance is a genuinely dangerous man, who I think has the potential to change the world like no other. And from what we know, it really seems like he's not scared of killing to protect his work, and a lot of the good guys in Overwatch are very pacifistic. So I would love to see Lifeweaver explored a lot more. Jerkoff? You know, I didn't read that name properly. Jerkoff wants to know penis length. Small. Core Enforcer, a person, not Zygarde's move, wants to know if I'm single. Yes, and it's a blessing. I'm in no position to be in a relationship right now. With employment issues and the cancer, I'm enjoying having time to myself and being able to lock in and create things. Plexus GD says, what do you think of the other 4 heroes this year? I think the Omnic looking guy would be Frankie, like we saw in one of the comics. Okay, interesting take. The next heroes, I'm honestly not that sure. The tank has been leaked to be Demon, which is a massive shame, because I thought it was going to be Soundquake, one of Project Titan's original characters. The Omnic looking guy being Frankie would be horrible though. I mean, I like Frankie, and it seems like a good idea. Like, from what we know about her, she seems like she would be a cool addition to the game, but she's not an Omnic, she's a human. And this guy seems to be some kind of detective that's holding a cane, and that is a lot more interesting than just another Deadlock Rebel. So, this Omnic detective guy, if that turns out to be Frankie, I'm going to be really fucking disappointed. Because the concept of an Omnic detective has a lot more potential to be really interesting and unconventional character type for Overwatch. Honestly, though, I don't really expect much. With how things were going about the release of the Big 5, I feel like they probably dropped the 5 they're most confident about first to try and revive Overwatch. So I've not got much stock in the next 5. But honestly, all I really want is just to have them be slightly layered characters. Just not no more one-note slop, no more Sierra, just give me a character. Chomsuke3636. What's the biggest motivator you have to live life? Something like a person, a quote, or a game. This sounds really fucking dark, but the biggest motivator in my life is suicide. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I suffer immensely from chronic depression, and in the worst times I would reach a level of suicidal intent. Until I realised that part of the vicious cycle I was in was me realising suicide isn't an option, so I can't possibly do it. So what I did, I kind of reframed the mindset around suicide. I changed the stigma around suicide in my head, and made an agreement with myself. If my life completely falls apart, I'm on the streets, no job, no family, no friends, then, and only then, am I allowed to commit suicide. But until that happens, I may as well keep going just to see what life has in store for me. Ever since that promise I made to myself, I've been able to attack any task or challenge with relative ease simply because I know that if the game of life gets too hard for me, I can always Alt F4. It's a really... Once I explain it, it's usually a lot easier to understand where this is coming from, but even still, some people don't get it. So I'm just going to say, like, I am safe. I am fine. I'm not going to do anything drastic. This is just something that keeps me going. A lot of the current stigma around suicide at the moment is never do it under any circumstance, and that was part of my vicious cycle. So when I reframed suicide as a genuine answer, it became easier to fight it off, which it... Every time I say it, it sounds weirder, but I can't argue with results. You can't argue with the results. However, when it comes to content creation, my biggest inspiration is my friend Tyler, but not in a traditional sense of the word. You see, Tyler, now known as Nostalgia Drive, got 3 million views on a video 10 years ago, then made a few follow-up videos, increasing his sub count to like 7,000, and multiple times he's uploaded videos that break over 100,000 views, but he never properly followed up on any of them for various reasons which aren't mine to discuss. That's his private life. But whenever he sees me upload, he always comments, and about once a month we'll be in call, and he will remind me to make sure to not let this chance pass me by, like what happened to him. He keeps me accountable, and honestly, he's probably the only reason this channel is the size that it is and the reason it's still going. Mr. Pillow wants to know what my thoughts are on my community. Hesitant to call it a community. I don't feel like the channel is big enough for me to say something like I have fans or I have a community. It's been a bit of a mixed bag, mostly. I mean, everyone's great, don't get me wrong, There's no, like, regular commenter that I get that I actively dislike. There's a few that I actively do like and enjoy seeing them and, like, what they have to say about videos. Everyone is chill, but some people gas me up way too much. I am really weird about compliments, especially because I know that I don't put that much effort into videos. I know that I'm a slop creator. But every now and then, I will see some cringe shit that's like blatantly someone sucking up to me for shout-outs or whatever. But I'll ignore it because at the end of the day, a comment is engagement and I'll take engagement for anything. When it comes to the community, I think the best thing for me, if you really want to make me happy, is, for whatever reason, is just kind of continuing the discussion and the comments about like the video. Like I like to create conversations. I don't make videos for you to go, good video, man, this made my pussy twitch. I don't want to hear that. That's not for me, because like I don't create films, I don't create art, I create funny videos for people to laugh and speak about. Some random guy, not calling him out, that's his name, says, what do you think about Deadlock's characters and interactions in compared to Overwatch? Honestly, I don't really view them that differently. When it comes to interactions, I'd say they're quite similar. Both games suffer very heavily from like the West Coast liberal CalArts millennial writing, where the interactions are kind of Reddit chungus. But Deadlock's characters are definitely much more interesting in terms of motivations, because each of them are coming for self-centered reasons in their desire for a wish. I think that's a lot better than Overwatch, where a lot of the characters are just flat-out Mary Sues with no flaws, whereas everyone in Deadlock has some kind of flaw about them. And with that, I'm just going to call the video quits there. I'm going to go to the gym now because I've been putting it off for fucking ages. And of course, as always, a big shout out to the eggs. Thank you for your continued support. Cameron Wilson fan, Cherry Balls, God Noodles, Lord Gracchos, Persistent, Despair, Brian, and Zoe. Thank you.